A heat spike under Arctic ice shouldn't happen. It did. And within hours, a US sensor net traced it to a Russian convoy led by Admiral Levchenko, shadowed by a Gorshkov, and a modified cargo ship pulsing radiation like tactical depth charges. No exercise notice. No cover story. This is the story of a quiet line crossed, the Kilo-class nuclear escort triangle that followed, and why the US answered with Operation Icefall, EMP penetrators, anti-radiation glide weapons, and stealth. Stay, and see how a nuclear shield was built, and then blinded, without crossing the nuclear threshold. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Allegedly preparing for a war with NATO. Is Congress aware of that potential threat from the Kremlin? I want to ask you about this new report from The Telegraph. Norway's defense minister claiming that Russia is amassing a nuclear-armed fleet in the Arctic.
I have not been briefed about what's going on in the Arctic. I am the chair of the transportation and...
A heat bloom under solid ice is physics yelling. It's heat without a heater, movement without wake, and it lined up with a convoy sliding quiet toward NATO's North Gate. That mismatch turns routine data into a warning shot. The first domino fell near Barents Sea when a sub-ice node flagged an anomalous plume. Minutes later, AP-8 Poseidon picked up a surface stack, a destroyer screen, a frigate, and a cargo hull that behaved like it had a bodyguard, not a schedule. Course steady. Emissions tight. Crew drills short and frequent. No exercise NOTAMs. No public drills. Yet the cargo profile carried stutters of ionizing readings you don't see on grain shipments. Those spikes weren't continuous, which matters. Intermittent signatures match handling cycles, the kind used when you move sensitive cores under strict timing. At the edge of the world, truth comes from fusion, not a single sensor. Thermal underice tells you something hot and deliberate pass through. Element upticks show radars waking in controlled bursts. Surface search and fire control arrays hold odd silence, the kind you keep when you want to appear deaf until you must shoot. One feed misleads. 3 line up. Then came the shadow under the ice, a Kilo-class trio in a tight triangle. 3 quiet boats forming a mobile acoustic and kinetic picket, spaced to overlap sonar cones and torpedo lanes, each one covering the other 2 while screening the ship above. That geometry cuts approach paths and hides wake noise, turning the cargo into a moving bunker. The outlier was heat again, short, sharp, like a pre-launch thermal breath from a bunker-busting cruise platform.
Part of Homeland Security. It's called TMS, Transportation and Maritime Security. Get into the Arctic Circle also. Now that the fact that they're bringing nuclear arms up there, that's something a little bit different. I know what's going on in the Arctic, and the Russians have nuclear-capable, nuclear-powered.
Think a road mobile system's cousin adapted for a submersible rack, a compact strike reach that pushes escalation options into the North Atlantic without leaving port. Put together, this was a sketch of a temporary nuclear umbrella drawn over a choke that feeds Allied resupply. The Pentagon alarm hit when 3 things lined up at once: radiation stutters, kilos closing ranks, and a course bend toward a narrow corridor with outsized value. If a nuclear shield can move, you don't race it. You blind it. And that flips the field. What stops a moving nuclear shield when you refuse to cross the nuclear line? You cut its nerves. You black out its eyes. You force it to move blind in a hostile maze.
Why I'm asking Schumer, hey, let's open up so we can get back to work. There are things happening around the world that may be posing a threat, and I've got to get briefed on this when we get back to Washington. So that, again, that's one of the things that is posing a threat. We need to get briefed on it so that we can take the action necessary to protect the American people and, frankly, the Western world.
American intent was simple and strict: containment over exchange, options over bravado, pressure without glow. The tasking read like a surgeon's plan: deny sensing, warp timing, hold the threshold. If the convoy couldn't see, it couldn't decide. If it couldn't decide, it couldn't escalate on its terms. For the next 40 hours, two F-35CS rode the weather seam, throttles light, sensors hot. A Russian Su-35 ripped a blower pass close enough to rattle helmets. The ladder was there. One twitch and rungs would vanish. The architecture answered with a net, not a hammer. B. Two Spirits carried Earth penetrators with EMP effects for buried nodes and non-nuclear anti-radiation glide weapons for emitters that dared speak. F-35CS seeded the air with decoys, then tossed AARGM shots to peel fire control and search radars. Quiet entries. Loud outcomes. The goal wasn't wreckage. It was silence in the wrong places. Here's the effect chain. Strip emitters first. Break the targeting loops next. No track, no shot, no handoff.
NATO. Is Congress aware of that potential threat from the Kremlin, and what is the U.S. doing about this?
Get into the Arctic Circle also. Now that the fact that they're bringing nuclear arms up there, that's something a little bit different.
News Nation, a call.
I may not be able to do that. I may be in a skiff, and it may be, top secret and all that.
Then twist the picture with false returns, so escorts must choose, defend the sensors and expose the payload, or cloak the payload and fly blind. Either choice bleeds coherence. Under the surface, USS Michigan sat in the black, Tomahawk reach coiled but unfired. It stayed unseen until it chose the spotlight, surfacing later for message value, not a kill chain. A steel reminder that restraint has teeth. Microtactics carried the weight. Air-launched bait looked like strike packages on radar. Glide weapons homed on any spike of hostile radiation. Timing windows hit while kilos slid to cover gaps, leaving seams open just long enough. The result landed fast. Russian radars and comms sagged. Escorts lost sync. The cargo hull eased off the lane. Kilos sank back under the ice. No mushroom clouds. Mission intent held. The shield didn't shatter. It went blind. The high north keeps score. What would you do the next time a convoy writes its own rules under the ice? A mobile nuclear shield exists under ice. But without eyes and timing, it turns to ballast. That's deterrence by denial in the Arctic. Break sensing, bend tempo, deny control. You saw how electronic warfare and precise, non-kinetic shots strip the convoy's picture. That model matters because it limits risk, holds thresholds, and still moves the needle. But it also demands discipline, constant intel, and timing you can't fake. Comment your choice below: blind the sensors first or threaten the shooters first. If you want the tactical mindset that wins in the Arctic, subscribe now. The Arctic remembers. Subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict.